careful. They deal with children with learning difficulties. Also, they have separate section which they call a prep. Send children to do common entrance at the time, I think it was. Now, they won't fit into an ordinary school. And you have to focus with them with handiwork, vocational works. There's no way until now you can find teachers in Jamaica that do special, just focus on the special needs alone, unless they're going to go private. But I can't see where now they have any private special needs school in Jamaica. Can't that be fit in the curriculum with the Minister of Education?
Dr. Russell, I think that's the question you could take up. You heard our question, Dr. Russell?
Yes, I think I get the gist of it.
Okay.
The solution, though, is if you're thinking, Donby, that the solution is to give these children a curriculum specific to them, that is not consistent with what our position is or what the evidence says works. You want to integrate the children, but you want to be mindful of how they learn and ensure that you have the personnel to support them. So someone who is a slow learner is just learning at a different pace, learns differently, right? And so can learn exactly what the typically developing child will learn. So our policy position is focused on integration, with only the exception of the more extreme cases. The support to teachers, which we commit to, the support including reducing the class sizes, but also, as you know, there is a network actually of special education schools, and so we intend to look at those, continue to support those, and we expand that network. There are large sections of the country where there is none, and people travel across parishes to enroll their children where they think they need this specific support. And so we intend to look at that and to see how we strengthen that network. And in some cases, I know the ministry already started, and we intend to build on the approach of having some schools with specific sections or units that are able to support children who have learning difficulties. But the more basic point you're making around a curriculum or a school that's specific to children with learning difficulties, we'll have to look, and the evidence suggests that you'd focus more on integration instead of having them separated and having a curriculum specific for them.
Thank you, Dr. Russell. I'll just take my final caller for this morning, and then we can wrap up, and then we can big up Southeast St. Anne. Excellence, quick and short, sir. Go ahead.
I'm going to be very short. Dr. Russell.
Yes.
You just said good afternoon, good morning, sorry. This is a two-part question. Considering the apartheid sort of education system that we have in Jamaica, where the school that you go to will most likely determine the success which you have because of the resource constraint, both human and infrastructural. The PNP forming government in the next 100 days. What sort of a mechanism or solution are you looking for to put forth that the young man who goes to Holy Trinity has a level of, what should I say, increases possibility of becoming successful at CXC, and the young man who goes to Tivoli Gardens also have the same possibility of coming out with the results of a KC or a Wolmer's? That's the first part. And the second part is that, considering what is taking place, especially in the rural areas, where we're finding our primary schools are slowly becoming lower and lower in numbers, and have difficulty finding teachers for the deep rural areas. What are the plans that you may have in place, or you plan to put in place, to help to revitalize these primary schools that are in the deep rural areas, so they get good teachers and the outcome can be for the students?
Excellent. Thanks for the questions. On the first one, yes, look, most of our children, as I said earlier on, you end up in a school where your chances, the average chance, I guess, of getting 5 subjects, including in CSEC, including math and English, is one in 5, one of every 5, because we're at about 20%. So you've identified a major problem. We need to make sure, for starters, I made the point earlier on we need to make sure that we don't have 70% of the students going to a school unable to read. We have to disrupt that pipeline of, poorly prepared children who are going into our secondary schools. So that's why I made the point earlier that the emphasis needs to be on that disrupting that needs to start at the primary level and ensuring that we don't have children being automatically promoted from one grade to the other. However, some children, in 100 days when we form government, some children are already in that system. And we've started looking at some really great models of supporting those children. I know from my own practice in multiple countries that remediation, providing remedial support to children can make a big difference. And if you focus that remediation on the specific areas, that means you have to assess them and do targeted instruction. It is late to do in secondary, but it's better to do it than to let them leave the system. Because what I've seen in secondary schools is that children become frustrated. If you're at grade 7, you can't read, you are going to become frustrated. You become involved in all kinds of things that have nothing to do with learning because you need an outlet and you can't find that in the classroom. So I'm making 2 points. One, disrupting the preventative side of it, disrupting the pipeline of underperforming children going into secondary. And then secondly, remedial support on a large scale at secondary level. We will provide resources to school to ensure that happens. We cannot have children leaving secondary and can't read, because that, again, is a recipe for other challenges later down the road. Deep rural areas, we have a multi-pronged challenge there, right? The schools are generally getting smaller. And so you didn't make this point, but we also have the issue of multi-grade teaching, which requires special skills, and it's something as a party we intend to address.